Okay. So good to be here with you. Thank you all for showing up and carving out time in your day for your practice. And I get so excited, especially when it's been a few weeks since I've taught live. I spend a lot of time really reflecting on what is it that I want to bring this time. And the theme for me in the last few weeks has been kind of rolling with change and transitions and allowing myself to really feel the experience of the transition, right? We dropped our daughter off for college. We feel the transition of kids going back to school. My son just started high school this week, his junior year. And we can feel the seasonal change of transition. And there's just a lot of ongoing, constant change, I think, that's happening in our world as well. So this practice in particular is called The Journey is the Destination. It is really about what we call in yoga vinyasa, which we think of as the flowing between movements. The emphasis that I'll invite you to explore today is feeling your way between the poses. And once we arrive in a shape, really allowing yourself to feel into the nuances of it. So the word vinyasa is often translated to place in a sacred way, right? To really move in that moving meditation, this quality of breath and movement, moving together, guiding you through space. And that whenever we're exploring yoga, ideally, what we're finding is this quality of effortless ease. That there is a way in which even a movement which we might call more of a challenging shape has an effortless quality to it, in part because it's being guided by the breath and this quality of flow, or that what inspires the movement is something along the lines of curiosity of what might happen if I move my body in this way or I breathe in this way. And so allowing those kind of inner nuances to give life to the shape so that it doesn't just feel like you're placing your body into a structure, that the structure is informed by what's moving inside of you. And we'll start slow and we'll build into a flow. My biggest request of you is to listen to your body. I think that these practices are really powerful, but they're subtle, and some of them are subtle. And I've had my own experiences in yoga classes where it feels so good, and I'm kind of going with it, and I'm following it, and I'm maybe overreaching in the practice, and then afterwards I get a migraine, or afterwards I feel drained. And so just really listening along the way, taking rests along the way. Right. Many of you know that I love long distance hiking, not so much like the PCT kind of long distance hiking, not the 100-day version or the 100-mile, but certainly the 5-day backpack. And, when we're doing 10, 15 miles in a day, there is so much necessity to just pause and appreciate this flower and appreciate this rock. And it's those pauses throughout, or gosh, we're going to pause in the shade and take a nap for an hour and then continue hiking, so that there's these ways in which the whole exploration has that effortless quality. You're not pushing yourself up the mountain. I'd like to invite you today to let go of ambition, to realize that there's nothing to achieve here, that there's nothing that we need to strive for in our practice. That, just like hiking the hills, I invite you to wander and be with whatever arises in this practice. So with all of that said, we might along the way discover a butterfly or a frog or a tree, right, in our shapes, in our yoga practice. But I'll invite you to start by dropping your attention inward. That if we think about every journey starts with a single step, and every journey starts where you are. And to start where you are, is an opportunity to arrive a bit more fully, to sense and feel, what am I bringing with me into this practice? That might be what happened during the day prior to arriving on your mat. That might be how you slept at night, what you ate yesterday or this morning, the kinds of dreams that informed your processing in the nighttime, right? All of these layers that really show up when we arrive on our mat. They're like, okay, what's here today? You know, having a daily practice is such a profound recognition that every day when we come to the mat, we're coming with a new experience. And so the practice is going to be unique to what is present today. You can notice the quality of your thoughts, emotions, physical sensations, your breath, the quality of energy. You feel enlivened or fatigued, all welcome. But recognizing that at this point on our planet, there's a lot of collective fatigue, I want to offer a poem that speaks to that and just allow these words to wash over you for a moment. There are times, you know, when a person can't go on any longer, when all you can do is collapse and surrender to what is happening. Then somehow an inner being, like a powerful, friendly animal, a white bear perhaps, lifts you on its back and trudges fearlessly onward while you rest. Somewhere further on, you awake, refreshed and seemingly above. It's a new day. The storm has passed. And now, ever grateful, you go on your way, humming to lizards, listening to trees. And to guide us onto our mats, I'll borrow the words of Thich Nhat Hanh, who writes, "Take my hand, we will walk. We will only walk. We will enjoy our walk without thinking of arriving anywhere." So, shall we walk together? Our first guided practice will be to deepen into Ujjayi Pranayama, and even this is a choice. Even this is an opportunity to explore what happens when you add a slight constriction to the throat and that ha sound to the breath, right? So ha kara is creating that like you're fogging a mirror. Ujjayi Pranayama is taking that in and out through the nose, and it's a warming breath. So to feel out how that translates, how that resonates in your body. It's actually a stimulating breath, and something as simple as Ujjayi, we recognize has an impact on body and mind. So experiment. An invitation to take that breath, starting by expanding it into the belly. Inhale down. Allowing the inhale to fill into your chest. And the exhale releasing from your chest. Down the belly. Using abdominal muscles, sending the air out and filling belly. Chest. settling, releasing. Perhaps your body begins to shape around the breath, inhaling, filling belly, filling the heart, allowing the chest to expand. Exhale, softening the shoulders down, maybe slightly concave as you send the breath out. Inhale, fill belly, across the diaphragm, the heart, the throat, and exhale, letting it out, even pressing the breath out. Inhale, maybe the arms begin to expand with your breath. And exhale, drawing it into center to midline. Inhale, sweeping open. And exhale, contracting inward. The journey is the destination, feeling all the spaces in between. One more like that. And if you'd like, softening your hands to your knees and beginning to find a revolving Ujjayi. So we're keeping that breath going as we rotate upper body around the legs, inhaling forward, exhaling back. You can just pick one direction for now. Feeling belly, diaphragm, heart, exhale, concave. Massaging across the digestive organs. And then going in the opposite direction. Finding your pace, your rhythm. Beautiful. Coming back to center. And we're going to take a little walk. And this walk is between your sits bones here. So we're just going to walk on the left sits bone and walk onto the right sits bone, back and forth, just allowing this side to side motion to translate into your hips, into your side bodies, into your shoulders, the sides of your neck. So allowing yourself to just move side to side, but really initiating that move from the base of your body. No right way or wrong way to do this movement, just feeling it out, making it yours. Good. And then we'll go ahead and take that a little slower, coming back to midline and then releasing right hand toward the right. So we'll stay with the side bodies here a little bit longer. And you can keep that left hand by your left hip, or maybe you lift that left arm up, maybe even overhead, breathing into the left side body and allowing yourself once again to be moved by curiosity. Allowing those movements and breath and exploration to be guided by sensation. Follow that even inside of a shape that you get to find all of these micro movements that make it yours. And then slowly we'll press up. We're going to stay with the left side of the spine by releasing right ear towards the right shoulder. And you can perhaps take the right hand either to support the head or maybe wrapping around. We're not forcing anything. We're just simply supporting and really encouraging the breath to fill the left side of your neck. You can amplify this by extending your left arm in the opposite direction. Your left arm is a little bit like a wing here, and as you lift or lower or stretch or rotate, you'll change the sensation in the left side of your neck. Another nuance in this shape is you might bring your eyes open and all the way towards your right elbow. Maybe your eyes come all the way towards the left sides of their sockets. And then slowly soften everything back up to center. Releasing your right hand if it's lifted and just simply noticing left and right sides. We'll find side to left hand to the earth and allowing yourself to find a little bit of that undulation movement as you lean towards the left side. Maybe the right arm comes up overhead. Maybe you find stillness, or maybe you continue the movement exploration. Breathing into the right side body all the way down to the right hip, as if your lungs extended all the way down. And then slowly lifting up, this time left ear towards left shoulder. Maybe the left hand comes up as a support system in some form or another. Maybe the right arm begins to reach in the opposite direction. And as if you had a tiny little lung in the right side of your neck, send your breath there. Beautiful, softening, returning everything to center, and simply noticing for a moment. And then from here, an invitation to come into Cobbler's pose. So with Cobblers, we bring the soles of the feet together. You might even take a moment with your hands to give your feet a little bit of love, massaging your toes, the soles, the arches. And then from here, we'll explore an uneven cobblers. And some of you have done this with me before. The left foot can go a little in front of the right. So we'll start on that left side here today. And just allowing yourself to reach the upper body forward over your legs. And there's nothing forced. So you might work with a long spine. You might move the spine forward and back, exploring the range of motion available for you here. Just a few breaths, greeting your hips in this uneven shape. And then we'll lift up. We're going to take the left foot with us, the left shin, and then maybe rotate your left foot in one direction and the other. Greeting your ankle. And then we'll greet your knee and your hip, just giving that leg a little rock in the hip socket. And some of you might take this all the way around, clasping around your left shin, little rock the baby here, and just rotating, letting it feel good. And we'll release it. So this time we're going to turn the left leg so that left knee is coming toward the inside of the right foot. So this is into deer pose. And even here in this shape, it really becomes an exploration. So you can lift and lower out of the shape with that left hip, turning your body towards the right and sinking back down. Just waking up through the body. You might even take that left arm across and lift it here. And back down. One more breath. And releasing back to center, and an option to pick up that left leg once again. So this time, maybe you lengthen that left leg and it can stay bent, or maybe you lengthen it all the way out. There's no better nor worse. And an invitation just to greet that inner line of the right leg by a little twist to the right. Okay, and then we're going to take it the other way. You can take the right hand across either to foot or to ankle, and then the twist is going to go across to the left. And the invitation is to just trace that outer line of that left leg for a moment, and you'll feel it as well as you twist to the left. And then we'll go back and forth one more time, just towards the right, opening up, towards the left, breathing into the lower body. And then staying on this side for one more shape, we're going to stack the left ankle on top of the right knee. So your left knee might be well lifted, or it might settle down on top of the left ankle. So just feeling this into your body. We're getting into the hips a little early here, and just sending your breath where the edge of sensation is. Now, some of you are blessed with stiffness and you find that edge of sensation relatively quickly. And if you're still not finding it and your legs are stacked, you might walk your upper body forward and find that place where there's enough sensation to breathe with, but not so much that you're holding your breath or contracting. Lovely. Slowly, slowly lifting up. And we'll repeat this whole little exchange, this little sequence on the other side. So this time, right foot slightly in front of the left in an uneven cobblers, and just allowing yourself to find the edge of this shape. Maybe a little bit of breath, some movements. The side might have a different story to tell. It might be very subtle. And as we lift up, we'll take the right foot with us and a few rotations through the right ankle in each direction. And then maybe rocking, holding on to foot and knee. Maybe you take your hands around and clasp around your shin, and just giving your right hip some attention, some care. And then we're going to take that right leg around into deer. You can start out, maybe your right hand rests on top of your right hip and your left hand behind. Inhale as we turn to the left, and exhale, settling the hips back down. Moving with your breath. Maybe the right arm goes with the movement. Just feeling it out, making it yours. And back to center. This time, let's take that right leg once again, and we'll find those twists here. And again, your right leg can stay bent. The first one, we twist open to the left, just allowing yourself to breathe Open through the heart, inner line of the leg. We'll come across this time, taking a hold, and then maybe just tracing the outer line of the right leg. It's the gallbladder meridian and also really connected to the fascia, a nice strong line on inner and outer lines of the legs. So twisting to the left and twisting to the right. Lovely. And our stacked, this is called fire logs pose. Some of you are like, yeah, I feel the fire. I feel it in my right hip. So finding your way in, maybe that knee's lifted, maybe it's settling down. Maybe your upper body stays lifted, or perhaps you begin to lower over your legs, sending your breath like you had the lung now in your hips, right? Just breathing all the way into sensation. Beautiful. And we'll lift up here. Preparing to come down onto your back. We'll take a moment here before we get there. Actually, don't go all the way onto your back. I correct myself. We're going to pause for a moment in that transition. And with your legs out in front of you, just take a moment with your hands behind. Your feet are all the way hip width apart, or wide or mat width apart. And just so you can allow your knees here to rock back and forth, right? So just letting yourself take a moment here, side to side, and then back to center. From center, in our transition down to the mat, taking a moment here into Navasana. So you can always keep your feet on the ground in Navasana, and I'll show this without my sweater. We're really working on lengthening the spine and keeping the chest open, the heart lifted. So if keeping your feet down is what's going to best support that, or even keeping your hands down is going to best support that, exploring what allows you to wake up through the core without compromising in the heart, right? So that if you do indeed take your legs off of the ground, that we can stay lifted, right? You can keep your hands behind your knees, maybe your arms alongside your legs. Connecting to your breath. All right, so we could go for a little boat ride here and look along the shores and see all of the cool, trees and ocean fish and maybe monkeys out there. I don't know where your boat is, right? I think I'm going through the Amazon, but we can lower, if you feel comfortable, into Ardha Navasana or half boat. So just allowing your upper body and your legs to lengthen, and you can hover and shake here. You can always lower down through your feet. So just allowing yourself to feel your relationship to this boat. Maybe it's a little shaky, right? For a moment, you're in a little bit of a rapid, and then we can come on back up to boat. You can find your way, you can reset it however you need to. Heart lifted. And this time, lowering your feet, we're going to come all the way down onto your back. And from this shape, allowing yourself to lift the right leg to the ceiling and extend your left leg long. So you can always keep that left foot on the floor, always an option. Or if you're extending it long, maybe lifting through your shoulders, through your hands, you can always support your head. So just listening, right? Allowing yourself to feel the power of this shape. And then we'll switch it out. So your variation, right leg down, left leg lifted, hands in front, foot down, hands behind head, listening to what's going to support you here. Connecting to your breath. And then I'll invite everyone to take hands behind your head and just move back and forth between the legs. Maybe you can imagine you're walking on the ceiling, right? Or walking in the clouds if you're outside. And we'll stop when the right leg is lifted again. And this time an option to twist toward the right. Just a few breaths here. Again, you can lower that left foot as needed. And we'll switch it out. Twisting toward the left, lowering the right leg. Maybe that right foot's lower to the earth. And for a moment, a few breaths here, let's go side to side. It's like a variation of a bicycle. Maybe you're on a cruiser ride, noticing all of the sights around you, the beauty of the world. All right, so you're still connecting to breath. Maybe that quality of effortless ease, even here. How do you discover that here? And then slowly back to center, lowering down, drawing knees in, wrapping arms around your shins. You can rock a little side to side. And then with hands behind your knees, if it feels right, maybe rocking forward and back. Eventually rocking up into a tabletop. And taking a moment here in tabletop just to really feel that front body line, right? So you can reach head and tail in the opposite direction, and then maybe curl it all in. Just feeling that with your own flow and breath. And then from here, I'll invite you to come into a little bit of a flowing cat-cow so that it's like a circular movement, almost like your body is on a Ferris wheel and it's going between these two shapes, and you can move forward through your cow shape and back through the cat, or you can reverse it. You can come up and inhale through cat and exhale back through cow. So just noticing how you can take your Ferris wheel here in two different directions. You might notice that one feels more intuitive or flowy and the other a little disjointed, and that's all fine and well. Just follow how your body wants to move. And then coming back through to center. An invitation to take your left knee just slightly forward of the right, and a few uneven cat-cows, like we did in Cobbler and deer, just exploring how we all have these asymmetries in the hips, and sometimes it can feel good just to exaggerate it, to move toward it. You might even take some circular movements in one direction and the other. And coming back through center, we'll switch sides here, taking right knee slightly forward of the left. You might start with some uneven cat-cows, inhaling and exhaling through your spine, your head, your tail, and then maybe taking that into some circular movements in each direction. Lovely. And then coming back here into an even position in your table. And from here, I'll invite you to come down with your upper body, keeping your hips stacked above your knees and walking your hands forward. And then allowing yourself to either rest the forehead onto the mat or maybe your chin, just listening to the range of motion in your neck, what feels right to you. I like to lift up onto finger pads here, arching through the palms of the hands. That arch in the hands can translate into a little lift in your armpits. Just creating some opening around your shoulders. And a variation here is to lower your forearms down and take your palms together. And with the lowered elbows, then bring your forehead back down to the earth once again, and maybe your thumbs coming towards the back of your neck. Breathing into your shoulders. If you press your elbows toward each other, your palms toward each other, it might amplify some of the sensation in this area of your body. Anahatasana is named for the heart chakra, and this posture is particularly valuable for opening up the back side of your heart, the receiving side of the heart chakra. Slowly, slowly lifting back up. We're going to keep the forearms down, taking them into like a 11 shape here, right? And then walking your toes back so that you're in a forearm plank. And for just a moment, just feeling the strength of your core once again. This is a transitional shape for our purpose today. Maybe a breath here as you gaze forward on the inhale. On an exhale, maybe gazing back towards your toes, just hugging everything to midline. And then very slowly settling your knees and your hips down to the earth for Sphinx pose. And you can see as I arrive here, I'm wiggling my hips back and forth. It feels good. Feel out how your body wants to make this shape yours. And from Sphinx, I'll invite a widening of the elbows and a lowering of your head for a moment. So a prone mini Shavasana, a brief pause and rest. Sometimes this belly down Shavasana is referred to as crocodile. So maybe you find some crocodiles on your walk through the woods. Friendly crocodiles. This crocodile is going to meet a half frog. So an invitation to bend your left leg. And we're again still just resting down in this 90-90 with the left leg. You can pad your left knee if it's uncomfortable on the floor. And keeping the left leg bent, an invitation to come back to Sphinx with your upper body. Now, if you've done this with me before, some of you know I like to curl the right toes under and do just a tiny little rocking motion initiated by those right toes, right? So that even in this shape, there's such a lovely opportunity for exploration and opening. Maybe extending the right toes back, and this time you could perhaps explore what happens as you curl, gazing over your left shoulder towards your left knee and foot. So we're, again, kind of engaging so many components to this shape, opening the neck, contracting in the side body. You might even place those left fingertips down and let that curl lift you up into a deeper variation of this shape, but listen to your body. How does your body want to find the edge of sensation and make it yours? Slowly, we lower down, placing elbow, extending left leg back. We're going to widen the elbows, coming back down, crocodile. You can rock the hips as need be. And from crocodile, we'll bend right leg 90-90. For a moment, just feeling as if your right hip and knee were soft, melting ice cream on the sidewalk. Sometimes we see that when we walk through town, right? And just allowing yourself to feel that you can melt right into the floor and it will receive you. And then allowing your elbows to come under your shoulders and your forearms back to parallel with each other as we lift up into half floor frog Sphinx variation. You might curl those left toes under and give yourself a little rocking motion. And I know in my body that left side and right side in these shapes are very different. They've got really different stories to tell. Maybe that's true for you too. So you can explore, how do you work with what's different in this side? It's got a unique need and expression. Maybe you find that turn over the right shoulder. Maybe that extends by placing the fingertips down and rotating. We're contracting into the side body. We're opening the side of the neck. The eyes can be engaged, right? Gazing all the way into the right sides of their sockets. And then slowly, slowly back to center, unwinding the legs, unwinding the arms. And this time planting the hands, and we'll move through a tabletop to downward facing dog. First one of this practice, and just making it yours, right? So that even this shape is a transitional shape. One that has so many nuances and opportunities for exploration between the points of contact with the earth, your hands, your feet. The journey is the destination, all of these nuances inside of it. Let yourself find them, right? You might bend through both knees, twist a little side to side. Maybe you lengthen through the legs and lift to tippy toes. Maybe you bend them deep and send your hips towards your heels. Honoring, listening. And for our next transition, inviting you to take your feet wide and begin to walk your feet back, your hands back, towards your feet. Those other points of contact with the earth, and we'll make our way into a low squat. And in this shape, a little side to side action. Just opening into the hips, the ankles. You can lift one toe and lower the other side, lifting a heel. Knees will lift and lower. Maybe eventually walking yourself into a frog, right? Here we are, both sides of the body in frog. And you can press your palms together and lengthen through your spine, lengthen through the crown of your head. And for some of you who say, well, my body doesn't do what you're doing there, Ariel, well, then you're going to do you, right? So you might be right here, right? You might be here. So listening to how your body is going to find the edge in yoga, because it's so not about the pose, it's about sensation and the journey that you're taking. So whichever version you are in, finding yourself there. And from here, a transition, one that we all at some point made in our lives, from this low to the earth, all the way to standing, right? Just like a child learning this from the first time, allowing the hands, the gaze to reach, seeing something you really want up there on the shelf, right on the couch, and standing all the way up. And because we did that quickly, let's repeat it. Let's find it, right? so that we come all the way to the earth and we gather and we gather and we feel that connection. And then we see something we really want and we reach into the realms of potential, and it lifts us all the way to standing. 3 times a charm. Let's come on back down. Gather, gather, gather your range of motion, your body, your practice, and then reach, reach, reach all the way to stand. Well done. For a moment, I invite you either palm to palm or palm over your heart, and arriving in this moment, knowing that it too is a transitional shape, but we can appreciate it and receive it fully. The heartbeat under your palms, your breath, your feet on the earth. And then when you're ready, releasing your hands. We'll do a little bit more of a side body opener here, drawing arms up overhead and clasping left wrist with the right hand and perhaps coming over toward the right, just breathing into the left side body, contracting the right side body, and we'll switch it out. Inhale, center, taking right wrist with the left hand and coming around to the left. One more time each side. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhaling through center. This time an option to clasp your hands behind your back and draw your shoulders back and down. You can keep your feet hip width apart, maybe even wider, taking a moment to feel that breath move through the front of your heart. And on an exhale, into a forward fold. Knees can be nice and bent here as we draw the connected hands up overhead. Maybe a moment here as we stand in Yogi Mudra, head bowed beneath your heart, that we bow to the wisdom of your very own heart. This intelligence inside of you that helps you navigate through the transitions of life. And slowly, by way of your sacrum, releasing hands down to the earth, finding a halfway lift and lengthen. And on an exhale, planting hands, stepping back, and you can always press right back to downward facing dog, or moving from a plank down to the earth, with an option perhaps to lower your knees as you lower all the way down. For our Cobra today, an invitation to take Cobra up on your fingertips once again. So we take the fingertips back beside the body, the elbows hug toward each other. And in this position, just allowing yourself to feel what happens across the front of the chest as we use the fingertips instead of the palms. Hugging elbows in, sending the breath into the upper chest, and exhale down. Let's do one more like that. Hugging elbows in, rolling shoulders back, pressing into fingertips, lifting through the heart. And exhale down. Planting your hands, curling toes under, and your way to downward dog. I'm going to move through a tabletop once again. You might press right up to a plank, however you want to arrive. So all of those transitions can be really, really made your own. You can find your own way to move through these shapes or skip them or rest in child's pose. Right, you get to tailor your practice so that it fits you. And as we make our way to the front of the mat, you might walk forward. Some of you might be ready to jump forward, however you want to arrive there. I'm taking a long, slow walk, a sauntering walk, and then maybe a forward fold as you get there. Inhale, coming all the way up to standing. And exhale, releasing your hands. Maybe palm to palm or palm over your heart. Inhale to sweep the arms to lift. This time, exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a halfway. And exhale. Planting your hands, I'll offer an option here as we step back, high plank. This time, an option to come down to a low plank, knowing that coming to the earth for Cobra is always an option. If we're coming down, we come down halfway. We're bending the elbows above the wrists and then rolling to the tops of the feet. Inhale, sweeping up into upward facing dog. Shoulders roll away from the ears. Head presses back. And then hips bring us back on an exhale, downward facing dog. Again, all options, your body, your practice. When and if you're ready, making your way to the front of the mat, this time I'll offer up an option to pounce forward, bending at the knees, gazing forward to where you're going, and on an exhale, making your way to the front. On an inhale, finding a halfway lift. On an exhale, folding it in. Inhale all the way to standing. Exhale, Samastitihi, a prayer for equal standing. Feeling your feet on the earth as we inhale, lifting arms once again to the realms of potential. On an exhale, sweeping down. The inhale rises you up. We're riding the breath. We're riding curiosity. On an exhale, we plant the hands your way to downward dog. You know the options. This moving meditation, a prayer, allowing yourself to deeply connect into your intention, your why, what has brought you to the mat. And once again, gazing forward your way, back up to the front. On an inhale, a halfway lift. And exhale to fold. Inhaling all the way to standing. This time, an exhale to bend the knees, Utkatasana. You can find your own depth of this shape, making it yours. We bend at the knees, sitting back as if in a chair, Utkatasana, awkward seated pose, right? It's a ut stands for intense, right? Intense, sometimes referred to as lightning bolt pose. If you lift your arms, maybe becoming that lightning bolt for a moment. On an exhale, drawing your arms back and an invitation to clasp them once again. You can always use a strap for these kinds of clasps behind the back. And as we draw the shoulders away from the ears, maybe we allow the heels to lift, balancing in drinking bird. Slowly releasing the hands, releasing the heels. Inhale through Utkatasana and exhale to a forward fold. Now we'll transition once again to a downward dog. So we've got a few extra flowing transitional vinyasas in this practice. So make them yours, go gentle, right? You can step back, find your transition, skip all of that, rest in child's pose. We meet in downward dog. And from downward dog, an invitation to reach your right leg back. And we're going to pause in that shape. And maybe you shorten your stance slightly, really find something that supports you in this three-legged dog. And then allow this to be your exploration. You can circle through the right knee. Maybe you reach that right hip open, reaching through your toes. You could circle through your ankle. You can bend into the right knee. So many choices. When you feel complete with that exploration, gazing forward and stepping right foot forward between your hands. And then a few breaths here, lifting and lowering, greeting left hip, right hamstring. Eventually placing left knee onto the earth, and maybe you want to have a cushion, a pillow, a blanket underneath your left knee. So listening to what makes this work in your body. The invitation is to take both hands to the inside of the right foot, and we toe heel right foot out and out again until we've got a nice wide stance here for our low lunge. We're working our way towards lizard, some of your favorite shapes, I'm sure. And as we come towards this, know that you have options to stay up on your fingertips or to lower down, maybe one forearm or both, or maybe your forearms come onto a block, right? So you get to tailor this to match your body. And in whichever version of this lunge you've taken, sending your breath to those edges of sensation, ensuring that we're not going so far past the edge that we're holding our breath, that we've lost the joy of the journey. And then maybe walking hands up. So this next one is an option as well. Again, those right toes are angled out, right knee following the toes. And then I'll actually invite this one up on fingertips as well. So we're going to take the left fingertips down as we lift through the right arm and find a twist toward the right. So as you press into the left fingertips, drawing left shoulder away, looping it away from your left ear, maybe bending into your left leg. Maybe you're reaching back. Some of you might clasp ankle or foot. There's no aggression. There's no necessity. So you might be reaching toward whatever supports and opening across the left shoulder, right side of your chest, left hip flexor. And slowly we release. Come on out. We're going to take a moment here in Ardha Hanumanasana in a half split, just allowing yourself to greet the back of the right leg one more time here. So pause, we've sent the hips back. Maybe you want to toe heel that right foot slightly more to center, just listening to what your body needs in this shape. And you might find a few undulating movements through your spine, over your right leg. Some of you might say, I really want to be higher up. Blocks come in handy for that, right? So you can find the depth that works for you. Beautiful. And then slowly Let's crawl forward, curling left toes under and sending right leg back. You might walk it out for a moment. You might notice left and right sides of your body in our neutral down dog. And then from here, we're going to send the left leg back. Pausing in this one-legged shape. Really finding the secure base and the 3 points of contact you have with the earth. And then allowing yourself to find an exploratory movement through your left knee or left hip, maybe your left ankle. You can open the hip, you can lengthen the leg, bend it, rotate the foot. Eventually, we take the hips back to parallel, we take the gaze forward, and we step the left foot forward and through. And then here, it's your low lunge, lifting up and lowering. Letting breath be your guide, letting sensation be your guide. Beautiful. And then slowly lowering right knee to the earth or a folded towel or blanket, and then hands to the inside of your left leg as you toe heel left foot out and out again. And then allowing yourself to stay lifted or to find your variation of lizard, maybe lowering onto your forearms once again. This side might have a different story to tell. Honoring your body. There's always an option to lift that back knee or keep it lowered. So allowing yourself to notice all of the subtle nuances. And we'll take this into a twist. Who knew we might find a dragon on our walk through the woods? Let's lift on up here. We're going to plant the right fingertips as we come into dragon pose. And we begin to open up toward the left, a twist here as we rotate the right shoulder back and down. We twist to the left, maybe that right foot lifts. It's a little like Twister here, right? And you take a hold of your foot or your ankle, you open through your heart. And then we release. The dragon goes on its way. We go on down the trail and we'll take this back into Hanumanasana. I love this particular pose because I like the mythology of Hanumanasana. So we come into a breath practice for our left hamstring. And in Hanumanasana, the monkey god in Hindu mythology, the story goes that Hanuman needed to make his way across the ocean and that he had to take a giant leap. And that in that journey that he took, that at one point an island rose up from under the ocean so he could rest his knee onto that and allow himself to rest along the way of this long journey. Now, one thing that Hanuman had to learn is that the resting element, the rest of that journey, couldn't be completed if he stayed on the island, if he remained in that resting shape. But we need to rest in order to complete the long journey. So we rest, that gives us the strength to carry on and move forward. And slowly coming into a low lunge, pressing into your hands, stepping left foot back, walking out through your legs, greeting your body. And gazing forward your way to the front of the mat, whether it's a long sauntering walk or a hop there, whatever is going to support you in this particular transition. From a forward fold, slowly we inhale. Let's lift all the way up to standing. And exhale, Samastitihi. Oh, we'll come into one more flowing standing sequence, but a brief pause in tree pose. Right, so as we take our walk, we're just walking through the forest. We're just on a walk with nowhere to go, but we see a tree. And let's appreciate that for a moment, really sending your roots down. I'll start with my left leg as my standing leg. You get to choose, and you can always use a windowsill or a piece of furniture for balance. Maybe you keep the right toes down, or maybe you take right foot to the inside of your left leg, above or below the knee. Maybe hand, to belly, to heart, connecting back to breath. Your gaze for balance. And then if and when you so choose, perhaps beginning to extend your branches, your unique tree. Nothing that needs to look like anything you've ever seen before. We allow awe and curiosity. Maybe your tree is moving in gentle breezes, hopefully not the hurricane winds. Maybe your tree finds a point of stillness. And then slowly, we settle 2 feet to the earth. And for a moment between sides, pausing and appreciating and feeling left and right sides of your body. And we'll find side 2, allowing your new standing leg to send roots deep down into the earth. And perhaps a toe stand or foot comes to the inside of the leg, just not against the knee. Maybe hand over your heart and a hand over your belly. Finding a point for your gaze. And then your expression, unique to you. Doesn't have to match what you did on side 1. It's like your arms get to have their own dance, moving along the winds of the breath. And then slowly settling 2 feet on the earth, planted, firmly grounded, open-hearted. Sweeping the arms, inhale and exhale. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway. And exhale, your way to down dog. At this point, you might be simply pressing right back. So listen to how your body makes this practice yours. From a downward dog, once again, we will reach the right leg back and up. Inhale. And exhale into a low lunge. This time, an invitation to lift up into crescent pose. So we are balancing. This involves some of those same balancing aspects of tree. And you can ensure that your feet are hip width apart so you're not on a balance beam. You got a wider base. And then from here, inhale to draw the arms up. And on an exhale, we're going to twist toward the right. Just a brief moment, a transitional shape. On an inhale, an invitation to lift through your left arm as you lower the right hand back, maybe to the sacrum or the back of the left leg. And then slowly, we're going to sweep the arms all the way around. Big transitional move. Warrior two. Right leg is towards the front, and you're just finding your way into this shape. So even inside of the pause or the stillness, there's all the subtleties. And then slowly reaching up and away from the front bent leg. On an exhale, into an extended side angle. I'll offer today the right forearm on top of the right thigh, and maybe taking that left hand for a moment onto the left hip, rotating that left shoulder open, rotating open through the chest, the heart. Maybe the left arm reaches back. Maybe it comes up overhead. Slowly inhale, lifting up, lengthening, reaching away from the right foot. And on an exhale, Trikonasana, triangle pose, reach, 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 rotate. The hand can be your support on a block on your shin, and then allowing that left arm to lift. Standing between the polarities that life offers us. We are rooted, we are expansive. Softening your gaze. For a moment, softening into the right knee, allowing yourself to revisit warrior two for a breath. As a transition down to the earth, exhale, and your way to downward dog. I'm just stepping right back this time. From downward facing dog, inhale, sweeping your left leg, gazing forward and stepping all the way forward and through. Nice secure base for movement as we lift up, maybe hands to hips to start. You can bend into that right knee for a moment before lengthening. And then if you'd like, drawing arms up overhead. On an exhale, we're going to take just a gentle open twist to the left. And then inhale, lifting up. And we're opening to warrior two. Left foot forward. Just a few breaths, greeting what might be a more familiar shape. Knowing that this too is a transitional moment. We inhale, reaching away from the front bent leg. And on an exhale, extended side angle, forearm to thigh, maybe a moment here, right hand to sacrum, to right hip. Just allowing yourself to feel the opening as the right shoulder loops back. Maybe you reach the fingertips back. Maybe you stay there. That feels so good sometimes. Or maybe you draw the arm up overhead. There is no arriving at some single point that says, I've achieved this pose. We're letting go of achievement, of striving. It's all the exploration. And slowly we inhale, lengthen, lengthen through that left leg, reaching away. And then allowing yourself to come into Trikonasana, rotating. Maybe reaching. And this too is a secure base for exploration. Maybe you gaze down, ahead, or up. Maybe you sweep the arm overhead even further, right? Just listening to how your body wants to move inside of the shape. And when you feel ready, we soften through the left knee, a brief inhale to exhale to the earth. Final downward facing dog of this practice. Some of you are saying, oh, thank goodness. And from downward facing dog, bending the knees to the earth, and an invitation to shift your hips to the side and your feet forward. We'll come into a few forward folds. So this invitation is to keep the right leg long and to bend the left knee in so that the left foot is to the inside of your right thigh. From here, there's a twisting action as we turn toward the right leg, right? Fingertips might be a little outrigger here on the outside of your right leg as we are turning navel towards the center and then allowing yourself to fold. Now, a fold here might be with a long spine. It's most protective for your low back. Some of you might round in a little bit, just listening to how your body wants to greet this forward fold, greet this shape, movement or stillness. And then slowly we lift up. We're going to stay on this right side for a moment and widen that leg just a little bit. And we'll come into a side bend here as we draw the right elbow to the inside or on top of the right leg. So finding your range of motion here. And once again, you can keep the left hand on your left hip, or maybe you draw the left arm up overhead. All right. So finding your breath into your side body. There's nothing forced. Maybe you allow the right ear to release down toward your right shoulder, opening through the left side of your neck once again. And then slowly we're lifting, and an invitation to plant the left hand as we come into gate, pressing into the left shin, lifting the hips, lifting the right arm, opening the heart. And then soften and settle. And we'll find side two. Lengthening left leg, right foot to the inside. Finding a long spine, your left fingertips to the outside, and then your version of this forward fold, Janushirasana, head to knee pose, right? So some of you are saying, well, my knee's way down there. It's totally okay to bend that left knee and rest. And rest like a white bear carrying you through in those times of fatigue. Because then suddenly you have that opportunity to reawaken and feel energized again, simply because you rested. Slowly we lift. Let's find the side body here, allowing left shoulder to come towards the inside or on top of, right? So allowing yourself to breathe into the right side body. Maybe the arm stays lowered, maybe it lifts. Maybe you soften left ear towards left shoulder. And then slowly, slowly we lift. If you like, right hand plants, lifting on top of left shin, right shin, left foot, right arm, left arm, opening to gate. And then softening to the earth. So as we begin to settle for final resting, final Shavasana, taking a moment, taking stock in this final transition to the earth, allowing yourself maybe even to just give yourself a gentle hug, whether you're still seated or if you've already rolled down onto your back, maybe wrapping arms around your shins. Feeling this shape, seed, bija, the seeds that we plant in the fertile ground, settling down, letting your whole body rest into a feeling of a ground that receives you, maybe like soft, warm mud. Maybe it's the sand on the beach and the waves lapping at your toes, gentle, gentle. The sun warming your body, that feeling that you get to simply let go of all doing. All thoughts are temporarily set aside for this deep rest, this restorative lightness of being. I invite you to stay here for just another minute or two. I'm going to offer the words. I didn't share the author of the first poem earlier. The author is Chris Hoffman, a Boulder, Colorado-based eco-psychologist. And Chris writes, "There are times, you know, when a person can't go on any longer. When all you can do is collapse and surrender to what is happening. And then somehow an inner being, like a powerful, friendly animal. A white bear, perhaps, lifts you on its back and trudges fearlessly onward while you rest. Somewhere further on, you awake. Refreshed and seemingly above. It's a new day. The storm has passed. And now, ever grateful, you go on your way, humming to lizards, listening to trees. Thank you all for joining me on this journey with no set destination, but one that has allowed us to drop in and explore as a community. Slowly, as you feel ready, wiggling your fingers, your toes, maybe rotating your hands around the wrists, your feet around the ankles, maybe moving through your shoulders, just letting this transition, this sacred transition, to feel good. Let it feel good. And as you're ready, maybe rolling to one side or rocking on your spine. And if you'd like, coming back up to sitting. To notice what is present for you now. Perhaps to thank yourself for taking this journey. And if you'd like, joining me palm to palm or palm over your heart. Simply allowing yourself to sense whatever is true right now. True for you. With gratitude for all of you who choose to join me in these classes. Namaste.